into it. What is up, and welcome to the Miseducation of Music. You are here with J-Treb, and I got a special guest with me today. I got Marsalis in the building, man. We've been trying to get this episode together for a minute.
Man, but you know, guys,
even pre-pandemic.
I remember.
And pre-pandemic, we tried to get this episode together, and I'm so glad because I think it came at the right time.
Yep. Absolutely.
And that's the way I believe everything happens. Like, I'm always just like, oh, okay, this is going to happen when it's supposed to. I think this was the right time. We at Feature Form Studios with it, man.
We're in my studio, Feature Form
Studio.
We are
in his studio with it, man. And it's like, this is
North Knox Avenue.
This is also the new setup, too. That's another reason why it's like, it's even dope that we got to do it when we got to do it, because I think that's really cool.
What did you think when I told you, hey, man, we remodeling?
Yeah, you sent me the message.
What did you think
when I was just like, well, I hope it can still be podcasted in. Like, that was my only, I was like, well, if you change this side to a drum room, it was going to be like, oh, okay, well, never mind. I guess I'm going to have to go somewhere else. And the thing is, I really wanted to come to this studio because of the reputation you've built for it.
Oh, man, I appreciate it.
Like, that was big for me when I was in the pandemic and I was trying to figure out how I was going to continue the podcast, what the next steps were. I wrote down Feature Form Studios. Like, it's where I wanted to record at, because I saw the energy you guys had in here. I saw all the tracks that were being made in here, and I was like, these are the tracks I listen to. Why not be, as a fan, why not be around the energy of the music that's in my headphones? And then on top of that, you got a project that's in my headphones right now that we're going to talk about as well, man. So I love to tell people the first exposure I had to them, and I think I mentioned this to you, but it was Wayside. Kiko, my homie Key, put me on. And that track was so crazy. Just to hear what you did with your voice, to hear the singing and how you can just set up an artist coming into a verse. Like, I just want to kick it off with how did you get started in this music? Like, how did you get to, you create something that almost is only your lane, and how did you get to that?
Man, I wish it was only, I don't know what I'm doing. Bro,
that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, I mean, as a creative, it's kind of like I'm not thinking. And I remember, right, when I was a kid, when I was a young kid, my dad was a really big music buff, and like he's always had a massive CD and cassette collection.
All the physical media.
And so I remember I was like 8 or 9. I was just like, yo, who's the people that make the music?
Like who made this thing for you to get?
My dad made the distinction randomly that, hey, this is the artist's music, but other people produce it.
That's interesting. I don't think a lot of kids like get that. Yeah, get that even like little piece of information. Of,
I was a nerd.
There's a whole bunch of people that went into this process. Like this is not just the artist you hear. It's the engineer, the recording engineer. Somebody had to find them. Somebody had to put the album out. Like that's crazy.
So like, yeah, I used to read liner notes all the time, and he finally just explained to me what that was, what a composer was, what an arranger is, what a producer is, and so that was very applicable for music. Pre-1980, right? Not so much afterwards.
Yeah, it was
the digital era of music.
It's hard. It's hard to keep a running list together when you're streaming an album. So when you can just click it simply.
My favorite as a kid was Teddy Riley. He's like my all-time. He's top 5 right now. But
wow. Okay.
But as a kid, because my dad is from that era. New Jack Swing was his era. And, my dad danced and everything else and stuff. When I just danced, that sounded really bad. Yo, my dad danced. Y'all do with that what y'all will. No, but like.
But you said New Jack Swing.
Right, New Jack Swing. Like, okay,
you know
what I mean? Right. So New Jack Swing.
Just like he was out there dancing.
Nah, my man's, he had me, dancing in front of TV when MC Hammer and stuff would come on. So like, I grew up with that, right? So.
That energy was just always there.
And my dad always told me, Teddy Riley made a lane of his own. New Jack Swing is nothing else like it. That's his.
That's just what it is.
Even though a white journalist,
you gotta say his name.
A white journalist came up with the term New Jack Swing, but he owned it and took it and was like, "Yep."
Sure, like if that's what you're gonna call it, you still gotta put Teddy Riley at the end of it.
But I think what I learned from that was like I don't think of myself as trying to make my own lane. If people are able to decipher like, oh, this is a road track from other people's, that's cool too.
I mean, I can. So I mean, and that's like, I think it comes from that element you bring to it, especially with the layering of the vocals, and then just like how good your voice sounds with the reverb. Like I feel like that's the part that's like chilling and comes back. That's the reoccurring part. Like, cause when you got like the crew, like that figure you should know, like that part it's so memorable. And then when I come into like the tracks like the I Feel Out of Place and you get that like loud, just
all of the stacks,
spacious, it's almost like that's a Ro track to me if I had to put a sound to it. Like I would be like, oh, Ro did that, because I can hear that. I can hear how you just like created almost like flooding in my headphones. Like the music's coming out of everywhere.
I remember I was like on week 8 of the Random Wednesdays, and the song was just like, bro, do you hear how cohesive all this is?
So cohesive.
And I said, bro, I'm losing my mind. And no, I don't.
It's like, I didn't even know that this was cohesive.
Well, so I made a...
Were the Random Wednesdays like a flow of conscious thing? Was that just like you were putting them out as you were creating? Was it planned before? Because I'm assuming not, because you were just saying.
I quit my job.
Okay.
Right? And I said, yeah, I'm going to will myself into doing this full time. And a part of that was me saying, I'm going to drop a song every week.
Every single Wednesday.
I did Random Tuesdays the year before. And before that, I did Random Mondays. So this was actually the third iteration. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it on Wednesdays. And I'm going to try to break a record. And so my wife, and this is back when I didn't listen to my wife. That's why I big up so much now, because things work so much better because I listened to her.
Life just got a little bit different.
I mean, a whole lot. So before then, I never listened to her. She was just like, you need to get some songs together first before you start dropping them.
And you were like, you don't know what you're talking about.
I was like, gee, I make songs every day.
That's what I do.
Boom, dropped the first one. I was feeling good. Boom, worked on a Tuesday night and made the second week. And that was, I think that was Crew, right? Boom, third week, feeling it. Fourth week, I'm all out. I'm in danger.
I've made a promise that I cannot fulfill anymore.
And so that's why a lot of them, I never was able really to put them on streaming services while I was doing it weekly, because they weren't getting done until almost 7 o'clock on Wednesday.
So it was like if you wanted it to drop on streaming service, you almost would have had to.
There was no way.
You would have had to have it done beforehand, like a week at least.
Yeah. So I was losing my mind, because it wasn't like it was me trying to be cohesive or anything. I'm a concept person. That's where my OCD lies. So I had to create the concept of randomness. So I thought I was being random.
So you were actually working within a parameter. Yeah. You just called that parameter random.
Random. In order for me to tell myself it's okay that this sounds nothing like everything else going on. And that's kind of how I worked, like, period. So the entire duration of it all.
So for that, so you say you're working in this like conceptual space almost. Yeah. So how does that relate as we dive into spaces? Because I heard what you said on Illinois radio. I don't want to really ask too many redundant questions.
No, bro.
But it's one of the things where it's like, this album is pretty deep, and I kind of want to get the explanation from you.
It's not. All right. So, I mean, it don't matter. Y'all done already listened. You've already enjoyed it.
You have it.
I didn't write 90% of Random Wednesdays at all.
Okay.
So, like, none of it was written, especially not Wayside. That was me trying to introduce the world to Shy.
And see, I heard that from Kiko. I heard the aspect of you trying to introduce the world to Shy.
Yeah, that's
not the aspect of the writing.
Yeah, so I didn't write Crew. I didn't write Knockoffs. I didn't write Confidants. So again, not to demystify stuff, but I don't
really think it demystifies it so much.
It wasn't deep for me. What it was, who was a really big influence on me for that third iteration for Random Wednesdays? Tierra Whack. She had dropped Whack World. And what I loved about Tierra Whack's writing is, if you ask Tierra Whack what Hungry Hippos is about, she's going to tell you Hungry Hippos was one of my childhood favorite games. So I made a song about it. And I've seen think pieces on the song about,
and there's nothing
it has
deeper
to do with
that.
Patriarchy and so
she's just like, it's this simple though.
And so what I took from that was, hey, I don't need to try to do PhD level Frank Ocean, ultra deep lyrics to it. I feel like the simple things in life are some of the deepest things.
And I feel like that's the aspect of putting yourself into a track. So I feel like it doesn't, and this is the aspect of like why the 90% of the writing doesn't matter. You have to leave something on the track when you approach it. So it doesn't matter who, and that's like if we were to circle back to an artist like Beyonce, we don't care that Beyonce doesn't write her lyrics because every time Beyonce picks up a microphone, she's going to leave a piece of herself on that song. Yeah. And I think that's the element that there's no demystifying because the thing is, it's still inside of you because someone else could have still said those words, but it wouldn't have had the same connotation or the same energy.
And that's the only thing that matters to me, right? I had to ask myself this question this year, right? While I was listening to the off season. And I was just like, these beats, they're nice beats. They're not like, oh my God.
Nothing is crazy there.
Right? The mixing, it's not my favorite mixed project.
I feel like it was just at the crib project.
So I'm not being critical, but the reason why I kept going back to that album was because Cole was leaving feeling out there, man.
When you get to a track like Let Go My Hand, it's like, who cares about it? It's simple sample. The drums are just easy pattern, easy old school New York almost.
But you can feel everything he's saying.
But the second he gets to the verse and he says, today my son said, Dad, let go my hand, you just, your heart almost sinks. And then you hear the boss come in with the soldier song over the top. Like those are emotions. Those are pieces of them that they put into the track. And then to relate that over to the music that you've given, the music freestyle you did, I've used that on the podcast 2 times now as an outro track because I feel like it was so simplistic. You looped that sample, pitched it up. It was almost just like, I wish I did it. And then when you came in with those words over the top, like the feeling was there. It sounded like all of it was just a lament into the microphone. I
was quitting.
Is that what that is? Because it almost felt like, because you even said like the tape might not drop in there and things like that. You said that like you curse to never drop when you promise. And like, it was almost like you were just like, I just got to tell you what's up.
I just got to let y'all know I'm done. That's kind of what it was. I was just like, you know what? I came to a realization and understanding, and I still have it now, right? Because I work with a lot of people. I'm working on a couple albums right now. And so I don't have the pressures I used to have on myself because we live in a society that tells us, oh, you have to have results, right? We care about the results and doing whatever it takes to have results. But the best creativity, you're not going to be able to just manufacture and rush that. I don't care who you is.
Exactly. And I mean, the results might be stressed, but the creativity is on the process.
Yeah. And so
it's in that like actually creating it. It's not within the press, upload, and hand to the world.
Yeah. And so it doesn't work that way, but a lot of people think it does. And so I'm producing for one project, and the guy is just like, dude, like, what is it going to take? And my whole thing is, dude, like, we just gotta keep living. I know that sounds
life.
It sounds
you gotta have something to put into there.
Yeah, I live by the rule of, listen, man. If I know what I'm looking for to have happen in a song in order for me to enjoy it, and it has very little to do with genre. It's very little to do with sometimes even skill level. Right? I'm not one of those elitist people. I'm looking for something to connect to, right?
It has to be intangible.
Right. It has to be. And so, I mean, I love grunge rock songs because there's something there that's real, right? And so that's what I look for. All that matters
is that somebody put something into a track. Like that's why music is so amazing. That's why it's something everybody can relate to, because there are tracks that are in Broadway plays that are easily more relatable than some things that are on the radio. Yeah. There are tracks that are in country music that are sometimes more relatable than the rap tracks from people made who grew up on the same block I did. Stuff like that.
And so as a result, though, I recognize just like, I can't force myself to feel good every day. You cannot force yourself to create something amazing every day. I don't care what nobody says. I know a lot of people that they say, you know, I'm in the studio every day. I am. But at the same time,
I'm not making something that I believe is just crazy great every single day.
No, that's not how this works, right? Because an athlete is in the gym every day too, right? But it's all preparation, because if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So if you're not,
and you don't know you don't know what you're getting ready for either, especially in the creativity. Yeah. Like, are you getting creatively ready for a project? Are you getting creatively ready for a single? You don't know until you really just get that energy.
And I think I'm really difficult because we've gone through 3 iterations in order to finally end up with spaces. When I say end up, I don't mean like, oh, I guess we'll use these tracks, but more of like, we went through 3 different concepts, 3 different ideas, 3 different trains of thought. And tried to connect spiritually to it, and I just couldn't. And I think what makes it difficult for me to create as an artist is just because I don't have a problem saying, it's not there. I'm done.
But I think that's fine, actually. And it's crazy that you're able to even dig that out of yourself, you know, to even understand that about yourself.
I'm
and
not
creativity.
Get mad.
Exactly, because it's like a lot of people I feel stress that aspect of the creativity, where it's like, if I'm not creating something, that means that I'm hindering myself. Yeah. When it's like sometimes the process just has not started. Like,
what do I have to say that? And this is the thing, right? So if somebody, like when Kendrick did Good Kid, Mad City, you put your heart and soul into that. It's 20-something tracks. It's got a cohesive theme and concept throughout the whole thing. You got skits running all the way through it. I can imagine that after doing something like that, and I know that he has a reputation of always working on stuff, but you got a lot of that still in you. So anything you're creating after the fact, it's going to sound like it, be influenced by it, has something to do with it.
If you don't take that time to cleanse your palate.
And that's what I'm saying. Like you got to live
You're just going to hand people the same thing all the time.
You got to go live life. And so some people are okay with that. But one thing I've noticed just from a historical standpoint is longevity goes to the person that knows how to evolve and adapt. Not the artist.
One who was always in your face.
Yeah, nah, because I'm gonna get tired of seeing you.
And that's real. I don't think we notice that in the world today of TikTok and all these other things where it's like post this many times a day, get this many pieces of content out because you're not doing anything if you don't do this. Where it's like, why don't I create one piece of quality content that meant something to me?
That's gonna be
and then
something
give it to the world, because you might want to play this 2 years from now. But if I'm giving you today's content, you don't want it tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's what's happening to a lot of content creators because it's kind of short-sighted in that way, right? I'm going to drop bars about Milwaukee winning the championship. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's cool right now.
Yeah, but it's
now you've just dated. You put
a timestamp on that song. It has an expiration date.
That could be timeless.
And I believe all of these forms of media have the opportunity to be timeless. Yeah. If you don't make them too timely. Like you cannot focus in on literally the headline of today's news.
I found myself, because I started, I examine my diets with stuff. Like right now, my food, as you can tell, isn't too great. So I'm making changes there. I'm tired of being fat. But anyway, like as far as my media diet, I'm really conscious of what I'm digesting because I notice it does affect my art and what I'm doing. And so I noticed that shows I enjoy generally don't deal with any current events at all. I love Bob's Burgers. It's a show about nothing.
They're going to throw something at the wall for the whole episode and you can smile.
Dude, watching Luis set a school on fire, don't mind if I do. You know what I mean?
It's like because the next episode, none of that matters and there's no gravity.
It's reset. It's there's a theatrical term for it. But yeah, it has to reset because it's like a situational comedy. Yep, situational comedies have to reset. That's
so crazy. Like that's so insane that's the media that you're intaking, and then what you're creating from that. So I kind of want to dive into spaces a little bit deeper.
Yeah, man.
As we're on this conversation. No, G, that's what you're here for. We brought you on the podcast to talk. But my G, so spaces, like for you to say that you like that media where it can reset each time, I feel like I can kind of get that concept out of spaces in the way of each song being like a different thing. Each one is like I'm dealing with this. Like, is that kind of in that realm or no?
Well, so I wanted, there's several different, I feel like there's a lot of different moods and a lot of nuanced ways to feel where you don't want to be around people. And my wife, she'll tell you I'm the more social one, and I agree to an extent. Well, I'm more of an ambivert than anything. I go through months of just not wanting
and it's
to be
like
bothered.
Let me just not speak to anybody. I agree with that. Like that's the only reason my podcast has seasons. Like it's because it's like, oh wait, no, we're going on hiatus. I can't do
this right now
because I can't go sit in front of somebody and in front of a camera.
And so I've heard some people say, oh, this because spiritually you need to recharge and all this other stuff. And I'm not saying it's not wrong or right, but I will say this:
you could just be tired.
Everything is in time and season, and so there's been times where I'm supposed to be vocal or I'm supposed to be outgoing and networking all the time because I own a business and because as an artist, you are the business, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just, there's far more times than not opportunities I pass on or just, you know, just situations where this could be a chance for me to meet people and I would just rather not.
It's like I'd rather just kick it at the crib.
I would rather just.
And I believe that you should have that ability to kind of, you know, like.
I would rather just not. But there's so many. And since being in this industry on a professional level that I've just been acquainted with, and I don't really write or do love songs or conventional songs in general. Mm-hmm. And I figured that out kind of early on because I would always try. And every time I tried those songs, they never worked.
It was just like, that's not what it sounded like.
It never worked. And
it's like I'm over here trying to make a Justin Timberlake beat. And
it sounds like I'm trying to make, you know what I mean?
Accidentally came out sounding like grunge rock.
Yeah. It's like, you can tell that I'm trying to manufacture something. Mm-hmm. And so in an effort to keep things organic and sounding like they come from a real place, number one, I only talk about autobiographical things.
So just you.
There's no cap in none of my rap. This is something I've dealt with. This is right. Because I mean, I don't know. I like I said, I'm trying to give real emotion.
It allows you to put that piece of yourself.
I'm trying to give real emotion, and so that's number one. And then number two, I try to be obedient to what the soundscape is telling me.
Wow.
And so that's really it.
So that's all within the beat aspect of it. So it's like,
if I hear a melody.
Yeah. So I was about to say, are you melody and then you're writing the lyrics to it? Or is it like, I got some lyrics and I'm going to build something around that emotion that you have from it?
6 months developing what is now my go-to way of doing music. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know I was doing that. And, you know, that just speaks to the process. You accidentally
created a form.
Yeah, a format for me to do stuff because I don't like being formulaic. So when I produce stuff,
it's the random with parameters.
Yeah, I don't do the same thing, you know, when I produce tracks. Like even if I'm doing one after another, I'm not going to use the same kick. Yeah, I intentionally do that because I want something fresh. I want to reset. And so when it comes to that, I didn't realize it, but it grew into how I do things. So the first thing I'm very aware of spiritually and mentally is how does this make me feel upon first listen? That first listen is so important to me that I have a phone full of voice notes because I'm a very in a moment type of creator.
Like so, you just want to get out what it made you feel, the visceral reaction. And even if I can't get in a
booth and do it right away, mm-hmm. I want to be able to have some sort of a
semblance of what it could be.
Just the access point for me to come back, right? Mm-hmm. And so usually two things happen for me in my process. So like, for instance, Rosart, shout out to Rosart, love you, man. He produced Energy, right? Mm-hmm. On the song.
I was going to ask about the production. I was going to say like.
So here's what's crazy. He sent me some tracks and that was one of them and it was called Energy. And I played it for 5 seconds. And the other ones I would let play because I'm trying to dig. I'm trying to feel something from it. Mm-hmm. This one right away.
You like
so I turn it off. So when I feel it and I know I can't record or do something, I turn it off.
So you can wait and get your
salvage those feelings. Yeah.
That is so much respect for the sonic space. Like that I don't think a lot of people think that deeply about just the sonic and the emotion that's going to be attached to it. So it's like you want that first knee-jerk reaction every time. Is that how like the entire project start to finish was done on this like turn it off method, or is it just that one that made you just go nope?
Again, I'm not formulaic in any mm-hmm. way. So anything I compose, like I did Normalize, mm-hmm. right? The first half, the second half.
Shout out Josie.
Yeah, the second half was Wildlife Willie. What up, bro? Oh. And so first half was all me, and I changed the key, I changed the drum loop. I had my homies E. coli and Stoneface come lay bass and guitar.
I was gonna ask if the bass guitars were live, and the sax is the sax on that one.
Oh, that's Fabian Saxey on Hurt People.
Shout out.
So, but I worked really hard on those tracks because when I produce, I'm trying to produce to feel something. So it's the opposite process. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, I'm a producer first. So it's very hard for me to do the artist thing because it requires me.
You have to turn off your production side.
And I can't turn that off.
So, and I mean, well, I think that's the beauty that gets you the music that you get to, because since you can't turn that off, it's going to have you call up somebody to come play this bass.
Yeah.
It's going to have you say, hey, I did the first half of this beat, but I know that you right here, you could take this and you could put your art form on it. Like, I believe that's the collaborative element almost.
But here's the thing. I discovered during this project that people want to be a part. I'm used to doing things by myself.
Just solo.
Yeah. And it's not because I don't want to work with people. I just didn't think people cared. You know what I'm saying? So like, this was the first time that people were like, nah, man, I want to be a part. I was very surprised. I would love to do Everybody who's a part of this project outside of D. Noel and Asar, I'm team, Josie, right? Even Go Hayes. Outside of them guys, even Go Hayes. Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised with everybody. It was like, yo, y'all want to be a part?
Everybody wants to. You want to get on this project?
Yeah, I was very surprised. So it was cool that it kind of did what it did, man.
So I want to ask about, since we're talking about all of these features and all these people who are on the project, how do you go about selecting features for a project about being alone? Or even how you said with people asking you, like, how did you kind of give them the green light to go ahead and hop on a track when you said this project was, about that isolation almost? Because it's crazy. It's almost contradiction with how many people you're saying are on it.
And that's
for it to be about being alone.
We leaned into that because at first, I didn't have nobody on it. I had nobody on it.
It was just going to be solo.
Yeah, and it was just going to be me. Yeah. But it's so funny. So many people kept asking, could they be a part? That I realized, like, man, I'm trying to do something what I think is for the sake of the art, when actuality I might be hurting it.
Yeah, that has to come into your mind when you got that many people asking you.
So can you imagine? I did 6 months straight, no help, right?
And then during that last stretch is when everybody came in?
Not one part. I'm talking about for Random Wednesday, not to keep bringing it back up.
Yeah.
But 6 months of tracks, no help. There was nobody else. It was me. The whole way through, nobody produced anything. It was all me. From that to this, where I have an abundance of help, and I mean, it was overwhelming for me to a degree because I'm really just not used to that. And I don't mean that in a sense of like I'm a control hog, because I'm not. I don't care. And if I edit or mess with something so to the point where I might be changing the foundation, it doesn't change the credit you receive.
Yeah.
I'm not that type of guy. I'm not a credit whore. I don't care.
It's so much easier.
If it sounds good.
It's so much easier to just not care and just be like, yeah, let's just do this.
If it sounds good, hey, bro, I appreciate everything you did, because without whatever you started with, we don't even end up here. So you can have it. I'm not like that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, most people will never know because it's not important. But yeah, so my wife was the one that was just like, yeah, lean into that.
Just use all of these people.
Yeah, lean into that. Whoever wants to help, let them be a part. And so now I'm telling a multi-layered story of how isolated you can need to be, but at the same time, look at all of the help you can still receive. And that's really the whole premise of the whole thing. Is just, I was supposed to have like space sounds and stuff in there. I chose not to do that because I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't like tropes and stuff like that, because it's gonna age it terribly, right?
Yeah, if you were to put like some space, I feel like you chose this almost like vibey neo soul interlude thing, like the intro and the outro.
That was to let you know this is not going to be a rap album. So like, I just wanted to set the precedent.
I remember you saying that on the live where you were just like, I hope you know, I ain't gonna be rapping on this.
I wanted to set the precedent early.
I think it was fun though, because I mean, like it set up that space for everybody to come in and do their own thing. Because I feel like you also set the stage for all these people to come in with these features. The same way I was talking about how you did Wayside back in the day, and how all of those people came in on the Random Wednesday features. This one did the same thing. The way you got Hayes coming in on that beat, the way you got Josie on there. Oh my God, there's a part in his verse that was just so insane, where I was just like, you're riding the beat different right now, G. Yeah. Like, and then we got Asar on Hurt People, and that one I think is my favorite track right now, because it's just, that one is sitting with me, because it's like, man, y'all really y'all really like made something out of this. I feel like everybody got their little section to shine within your EP about space.
I didn't give people direction outside of, I appreciate you being a part. This is
like,
what the song is
just hand me
about.
something back.
Yeah, this is what I'm dealing with other professionals, right? So it was really cool. When I knew like that this project was gonna be dope was so the saxophone player who plays on Hurt People,
who kills it.
I met him through Fiverr. So yeah, I just found, and so
shout out Fiverr.
So this is really crazy because like he was real general and professional. If you've ever used Fiverr, they had it forms and stuff. And so I had paid for 30 seconds of a sax solo. So man, go for it. If you feel led to put anything or anything else, go for it. And he said, okay, well, I'm going to just give you the 30 seconds and I got you. And so then the next day, I didn't see, but I had like 10 messages on Fiverr. And he was like, I love this song. This is great. Man. I sent you 4 different iterations for you to pick from. You could use one or you could use all of them. Go for it.
That's how you know the music's hitting.
And so I was just like, yes, this is dope. This is a complete stranger. I didn't pay for this.
It's like he was willing to go above and beyond though, because he could see that you were doing something that was genuine. That genuine aspect shines through.
Yeah.
You don't even need to say it sometimes, Like it's awesome to say it, but you don't have to say that like, hey, this track means something to me. Especially like I could like if he's sitting back 4 iterations, I understand how Fiverr works. People usually don't give you extra enough.
Bloop.
It's like, oh, here's the minimum. Like, no, I wrote it down. I wrote down exactly what I handed you.
Yep.
Like, so that is crazy for him to just take that time.
He said, I love it and send me the final. He said, I want to hear it all together.
He was just like, I need to see what you do.
I want to hear it all together. So now I have his number and he's a good guy. He's cool.
That's so awesome.
And so, so that's when I knew because that happened more than once on this project. I just met Rose Art not too long ago. Like Nico Beats, I think I mixed. He did a joint for SAR. He did the B-sides freestyle.
Oh, okay.
So I never, like
it was just like
dope. This is
we
fire.
know people through being around.
I couldn't believe like he wanted to be a part. I was so honored. I'm like, bro, this is raw because Nico the Great is fire. If you ever look at his discography, it's crazy.
And that's just so awesome that like you can get exposed to this, get in these rooms, all of that, and for you to even say that like. The networking thing isn't something you always enjoy to do. It's not something you seek out to do. I think it almost looks like it's like confirmation when you're just like, you took that step back and you took the plunge into just working for the art in the way you want it to. Yeah. And this is the reaction you got.
Yeah, man. The first time I met Southpaw Suede.
Man, I got notes right here that says, shout out to his Pimp C salute. Yeah. He murks that.
Yeah, like.
Oh my God.
I said, I played the beat for him and he was just like, can I be on this? I was like, yeah, this is my first, like, this is the first time we ever met.
He gave you that verse?
And he was like, what is this about? I said, seasonal depression. He was like, oh, man. He said, I got you.
He was like, the verse is ready.
I had nothing done, and he was done with his verse, and they sent it back to me, man. I had nothing. I played him the beat.
So he put that one in there before you did anything?
Yeah,
because he comes in with that hard hitting Pimp C flow style. Yeah, and it's just so crazy.
I originally had him at the beginning of the song, but this isn't a shot at Drake, but
I love things that start like that.
It's not a shot at Drake because maybe it's just too high level. I mean, he's Drake for a reason. So maybe it's too high level for me to understand. But his sequencing always kind of, bothers me. I'm like, why would you put this right here?
It's like a playlist rather than an album. And
so,
I don't think that's a shot. I feel like I've always thought that since Views.
So like for me though, sequencing was huge. So it's funny. I what's this thing? Oh, this is Pop, right, on Netflix. And the first episode was about Boyz II Men. And they talk about how when things started going downhill because all of the white boy bands started showing up. Yep. The one guy was just like, all right, y'all, peace out. I'm going to go become an accountant. And, they even tried to make it an emotional moment on the show. And my wife was like, wow, I can't believe you just left. And I was like, I 150% relate to that.
He wanted to do something different.
You know what's the next business I'm starting?
What?
Is I can't wait to start it. I'm starting a landscaping company, dog.
Gee, that's
when I tell people about that, they roll their eyes
because they're just so like, upset. You're creative. You have a studio. You're doing this and this. It's like, but I also want.
I have a really big green thumb, and I would love to just put headphones on and just cut grass for hours. Honestly,
I've never cut grass in my life.
Really?
Never a day in my life.
It's therapeutic. I really get it's thoughtless work, but I really enjoy,
Is that like a job well done thing?
It's
like,
really,
is that like when you look back at one of those, is that a sense of accomplishment as a person who hasn't cut grass?
I like building stuff for fun. I built all of these panels.
Okay, so you do enjoy the seeing your works.
It's all creative to me.
Whoa.
You think about it. When I cut grass, you have to cut a design into this grass.
It's like, I'm about to do this.
That is both uniform but also admirable, right? And there's a strategy and a way you have to cut grass in order to achieve certain types of patterns. So if I want, instead of a straight line back and forth, I'll look at a yard and based off of the fact that, towards the end of the driveway, there's a tree trunk that kind of pivots up. This would be really raw if all of the grass was cut diagonally.
Man,
that's the type of stuff that goes on in my head.
That is so dope.
And so I look at people's lawns and I'm like, okay, see, if I go around it and I cut an outline in a circle this way, this would allow me to cut a slant. So it all comes from the same part of the brain for me.
That's interesting that you look at your creativity as something that's like that.
No, it's all
it's that transferable, I guess would be the word. Because like you could just really put that on anything. I mean, I feel like I don't use mine in that manner. Mm-hmm. I feel like I know what I'm good at. I know what I could do. I know my things. I never really think about it in the sense of, well, how could I use my thing here in this industry?
Creating. I really just like
that's
creating.
So awesome, man. That's so awesome. And so talking about these things, your creativity and all of these uses that you have for it, what led you to starting a studio? And how is it as something you do?
What led to me starting a studio? I've lost count how many times I tried to quit and do this full time. So excuse me. I want to say, as a married man, this is my second time quitting a job, a nice job, a cool job, and saying no. I want to follow my dreams. What made this time different than when I did in 2018 and, did the Random Wednesdays was there was some things I think just spiritually and just within myself that I needed to resolve. I think there was a lot of prove still in my heart of feeling like I had a chip on my shoulder and I needed to prove something to somebody and ultimately to myself. And this time around, I had a lot of that resolved. I had all that resolved. I had, internal issues with my upbringing. I had all that resolved this time. And so there was a level of clarity I think I had this time going into this process that I didn't have last time. It was just time. It was really just time. So this was something I always wanted to do just because.
From the shorty reading the album notes, you were like, I want to be the place you go to.
Yeah, this is something I always wanted to do. I just never knew how it was going to happen. I didn't know I was going to end up engineering.
Got you.
But it's crazy how you do things out of necessity so long, it eventually develops into a skill. So I've been doing front of house and, live audio for quite a while. But, I mean, anybody will tell you that does either or both, they're two different animals. Doing post-production and live audio, two totally different animals. Both of
those are a different animal than even this.
I mean, broadcast is different.
Like studio recording in comparison to live, things like live scare me. Yeah. Like when it comes to things like post or working in a studio, like that's where I'm like, oh, that a lot more comfort because like that's a lot more fixing. So that's interesting to see you come from there to be like, yeah, well now I want to deal with how can we make this track sound amazing for later. Yeah.
So it was one of those things where nobody, me, Osar, and Joseph, we didn't have those resources. We was getting it out the mud.
Made out of necessity, man.
And so for a while, I was, not Josie, but not all of Josie or most of Josie stuff. But for a while, I was recording, mixing, mastering, producing everything for us, for all of us.
So you had the workload of all of the artists.
Dude, man, it never felt like that. This is fine. This is fun for me.
That's awesome that it never felt like that, because that's literally what 4 or 5 artists right there.
Yeah,
where you're handling. Were you on production? I'm assuming for at least some of the tracks, and then the mixing, mastering, and recording. Man,
I did the whole Focus project.
When did you
for Josie? I did Baby Makers. That's the project, his first project he had. Before that, all of the 3-piece series. Those are all me from Josie. Man. And then the full whole 6-page letter with the, except I think Wax Roof did one song on for 6 pages.
Shout out Wax. I know him through Christian Jalon.
Yeah. And so but yeah, it's always been that way.
I just, that's so insane. I can't believe you took that on your back and just said, I'm all of that music sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Look, for everyone who is at home, you can play any of these tracks. The quality is there.
Don't play it. Don't play these songs.
Hey, that quality is there though. Like you're saying artists and tracks that I literally have in my rotation. Like,
I appreciate that.
These are tracks that like I remember when they dropped. I remember being on social media and seeing all of these artists push these tracks, and I did not know that you was really sitting in the back handling every one of these.
Yep.
And I mean that makes so much sense for as you lead to having your studio here, and even the connections you made in the city. Like,
and that's why I said what I said. I'm very used to doing things by myself. So this is
that's how you get there.
This is an entirely new experience. But the biggest thing I think I learned doing this album and having the help I had is, and this advice I've been sharing to people. Listen, man, when you really are helping yourself, help will come. People, the energy you give out of you being productive, believing in something, and sticking with it and seeing it through, it resonates, and it has to. It's going to bring you the right people. It's going to bring you the right situation.
It's going to attract that energy.
It's going to attract
because it seems like the energy of the people you got around you is that same vibe. It's that same good energy. Like, you all move with so much positivity.
This entire year, I've never met so many people that are just like me in my entire life. Like Pat Jr., Sway, like, it's so crazy to me.
And you're just like, wow, wait, I wasn't the only one with these thoughts.
Yeah, I met a couple other producers, recently, and I'm just like, wow, we are the same people. We are literally the same person, and I think that has to do with, again, the type of energy you've just been putting out there for a while.
And I think you definitely get that energy back that you put out into the world, man. So that's like really cool. Now, to ask some more in-depth studio questions.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about the owning of a studio? Because I know like some people might be like the recording anytime, or is there like a favorite part of like seeing a creation or helping foster a creation?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. My one rule here is that people don't leave here empty-handed. I don't care if you came here to support your homie. Grab a snack, grab a bottle of water. Hopefully you leave here inspired. And just leave here feeling like, man, I was a part of creation. Wow. That's the most important thing to me here about this whole space. It's the reason why, like, before anybody gets here, usually during the day or in the morning, I clean, I play certain music. I just try to keep a particular atmosphere here that continue to be a breeding ground for people to come get their visions implemented, man, honestly, and just get it out.
It's really about just creating that space that somebody can come and be comfortable creating in. Man, that's so awesome. And I mean, look, I can attest to that. As even like today, you helped with the lighting setup that we got going for this. Like, but it's just those things, like just that I'm here and I feel as if there was an assisting in the production of it, just even if it's like small or something like that. Now that's really cool that that's something that like you've incorporated just into the space that you've created. Now, are there any like least favorite things you have about all of this?
I'd say I think dealing with hobbyists is my least favorite thing. Yeah, and it's not because I don't like working with new people. Yeah, it's just difficult. And I always give this analogy, but it's kind of the best one I can give. It's like being a sports trainer, right? And it doesn't matter which sport. Just, I could say tennis, I could say
But it's basketball. Like, it's that difference between that pro athlete training and somebody who's just doing it on the weekend.
Because it's like, you're low-key wasting your time if you're coming to me as a basketball trainer to get some reps up, work on your shooting and your ball handling. If you are not on a team, you have no aspirations to be on a team.
It's like you're just trying to beat the homies at the park.
This is
like,
and so to a degree, because I've been doing this a while and I'm affiliated with a lot of really cool people, I'm kind of wasting my time.
I feel
right, and I don't mean that in a malicious way, because I give 100%.
It's almost like a respecting of your time.
Yeah,
so yeah. It's not something that I don't even think you can. It can be misconstrued. It's like no, it's something where it's like you're about to put your time into it. You're about to put your energy into it, and that comes at the value of it being respected.
Yeah, I have people come and. That's changed, but I've had people come in the past for 2-hour sessions. Mm-hmm. They only book because they caught it on the sale, and they come and
man, shout out to your sales. You have a lot of sales.
I just be trying to look out.
Shout out, just helping out the artists out here.
If you pay attention, you notice the pattern. It comes the same time every month, and that's usually just because I'm solid. So let me help y'all out. Yeah. I'm not taking a loss.
Look, if I'm straight.
Right. Yeah, I'm not taking the loss. So
that's
awesome. Man.
That's so like true. You don't hear these things from people, man. Like just a genuine good dude.
No, I'm just here trying to have fun, man. I'll try to have fun. But the thing about hobbyists, so they'll pay because they won't book any other time.
They're only coming in on the sale,
and so they come in on the sale. That's the only time I meet hobbyists. They come in on the sale, and I understand because you don't know if you're serious about this yet. Yeah. So you should come in on a 2-hour on a discount. But they'll come in high and freestyle over a track for an hour recording. And then at the end, we go, okay, so this is mixed and mastered and ready to go. And I go, no, it's not.
That's not how that works.
But, I mean, you don't know because you're not.
Because you're a hobbyist, you don't understand the process where it's like, okay, now I'm about to take this
recording session.
Yeah, like this is just a session for recording.
And so now,
here are your wave tracks. You go like.
So now I have to differentiate the services,
and they don't even figure that out till the end.
Well, now they do. Now they feel it. It's different. I had to do it because
it's different energy now. You got to tell them up front.
It's so right? Mm-hmm. And when I come in to record, I don't care if you booked a 4-hour for a recording session or a 6-hour. Don't expect to leave here with a fully mixed and mastered product. I have to separate it so people can kind of understand.
Those are separate things, though. Like those are the services are completely and utterly different. Yeah. And I think that's something where, as you said, a hobbyist might not even be able to differentiate.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. I got homies that do this too, and it's definitely everybody's least favorite thing. That's like nobody likes working with people who aren't serious about what they're doing.
I feel like when it comes to the music though, and I mean like I feel that though, like when it comes to music, if you consider it to be a space that you respect, it's very hard to have someone come in who does not understand it completely, because they might the ignorance might cause them to disrespect it.
I've had young guys come in here and we'll dance around. Talk about people that they know that I know that they aspire to work with,
and they're literally just trying to say, "Hey, how could I get in the room?"
Yeah,
with you?
And so God. I mean, you were already paying me for my time, so I go, "Yeah, they are a really good singer." Yeah, so and so is really fire. I'm like, "Yeah, have you worked with them before?" And I generally, because again, man, I'm not really in a waste of time. I have no problem letting you know, like. If I have or if I haven't, how's that gonna?
What does it change for this?
What is? How does that benefit
into your own time right now?
If I tell you I work with them, right? What does that benefit you? Like, what are you gonna get from that? And generally, it's always the same thing. A lot of people come here and they think that they're really great at talking, really personable.
They're like,
and they can finesse.
I'm gonna finesse my way into a
SAR track. Yeah, and a SAR track.
They gonna have to put me on when they hear me. I'm gonna go over there and he gonna hear me. He gonna have to put me on that track.
And then I ask the qualifying questions, which I'm not gonna give out because it's the same questions every time, and people just tell on themselves right there. And you let me know within the first 5 minutes of being here,
snitched up all your
you're
whole
a hobbyist.
self.
You're not a real.
You came in here because you wanted to see if you could do something, and you're not gonna be able to do it. Man, that's crazy. That's something I don't think I ever would have thought you having to deal with. Because, you know, I mean, and maybe it's because I do see it from the other side. Like, I was in college. We were skipping class to make tracks. Like, we were hustling for it. Like,
I could tell the difference.
And that's the thing. Like, you know the people who are coming in there to say, yo, I'm about to do this. And you know the people who are like, I got some time between class.
And just to illustrate my point on when you're helping yourself, people will help you. Man, I've had people come here down and out. Like, they didn't tell me, but I knew through conversation they gave their last.
Yeah.
And so when we done, don't worry about it. I got you. Come back. Come back when you right.
And it's like just noticing that. Yeah. Like that's how it was.
Right.
That's how it was in college a lot, more often than not. Where it's just like, hey man, it's just I'm not about to stop your creativity off of that. Like, man, you got a track, let's get the track off. Like hopefully you good for it.
Yeah, the first artist I worked with like that, he wasn't down and out. That's not what I'm saying. But D2X.
Oh yeah.
He was the first person that I never met before that came here. And I could just feel his passion radiating off.
You were just like, man, let's put it together, bro. I feel that energy. That's so awesome. You can't. It's undescribable. Yeah. See, I feel like that's how I feel when like I've worked with Kiko in the past, where like he'll come in the studio and I'm just like, you really want this, like, and when you see that on somebody, it's like. It's a synergy. You hit that flow state. It's like, let's just create. Yep. Who cares about whatever else we got going on? Yeah. All of that other shit is superficial. We're creating something that's not. Like, we're creating something that can go even deeper. Now, is that how, I'm assuming when you were doing all of these projects at the same time for Josie and Asar, like, I'm assuming you had that same feeling for their music?
I love those guys. Those are my brothers. I believe in them. And the first question I ask anybody that I'm doing a project with is, how can I help? What do you need me to do? Yeah. Right.
What's the disconnect? Because you came here because there's something you can't get done.
Well, more than that, it's just on a spiritual level, God allowing this to happen. I know what I'm capable of, but I just know from experience the best way for me to help is to know what do you need from me. And so, with them. They learned very quickly.
They were like, I know.
Very vocal about it. And like, hey, bro, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. Right now, I just some joints I still need to finish mixing. But it's just, I need this. And that's me. That's where I live. And like I said, for anybody doing a project with me, I just finished working with Elijah LaFleur, and he did his whole project here. And it's amazing. It's really dope. And same question. And
what do you need me to do? I mean, it lays it out so plainly, man. And that's so dope that you work like that. Now, I only got like 2 more questions real quick before we get up out of here, my G. Okay. But I love to ask everybody this question because it comes in a variety of different answers from different people. But what do you do to foster your creativity? What do you do to protect it almost, to make sure that it's like something that doesn't get neglected? And I mean, you've alluded to it in like a couple different ways with this album, but like, what do you think is your like main thing? It's like, what do you do to make sure that creativity just stays up?
I'm going to explain this concept the best way I can because it's one I feel like God is working through me right now, even as we talk. But, your inner child, a child in general, children aren't born with this innate desire to prove anything, right?
Nothing.
They just be. Children are the most present tense, in the moment.
Because there's nothing else to compare it to.
But they're children, right? And so the most original things I've ever witnessed and been a part of were from kids, just being kids.
Just being like, why can't we do it that way?
Little kids make up these little dances. I love it because, there's no point of reference. This is really just...
It's genuine creativity. They are having
when my son starts, I have a 4-year-old son. When he just starts riffing, I love that because he's not riffing so he can impress dad and prove that he's got musical chops. He's riffing because that's how he feels in the moment. It's what he wants to do. And so what I've discovered is as a creative in America, especially, we put way too much stock on proving things to people.
Showing you what you can do with the creativity.
Anything. Why are you trying to prove something, right? There's nothing wrong with it. I feel like we all have to get to this point. It took me 30 years to get to it. So I understand. I'm not any better than anybody, but I just want to encourage anybody watching this or listening. True creativity starts when you take your proof off of why you create. What do I mean by that? What I mean is I create because I am. You understand? Like, I'm not creating because my mama told me I wasn't never gonna make it in the industry, because there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Some people need that fuel, but it's not always. But it's not the best. Like,
this is what I've learned and I've observed. You can use that fuel. That's expensive fuel. So what I mean by that, when that tank runs out, meaning when you've achieved the goal of, okay, nobody thought I was gonna make it here.
Wrong.
Guess what? You're done.
The tank's empty.
There's nothing else. There's no other reason for you to be here, and that's why people come and go a lot, because
they got to their level and there was nothing else for them to do here.
Well, because you created art from motivation instead of creating art from inspiration and just being.
Because if you do that, it's like that well can't run dry. Man,
I create because I am.
A word out here, bro.
I create because I am. Like, you understand? Like,
yes.
You know what I mean?
Something that you have to get out of yourself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it takes.
I mean, you said there was creativity within cutting like grass for you. So I mean, like, I can even see how you're living within that.
I create because I am, and it's a hard concept, I think, for people to really grasp and come to terms with, because I think a lot of this musical industry is competitive by nature.
Oh yeah,
but it's
only because we put numbers next to it.
Well,
the second you put numbers next to something, everybody wants to fight for it.
But it's a black thing. I promise you. Taylor Swift is not trying to compete with LeAnn Rimes.
Not at all.
But we've normalized the competitive factor with our music.
Must be a number one and number two. That was my man. Everybody they had to say which one did you like more, Donda or CLB? But it was like, that's not how you rate music.
I
refused to answer that question because I was like, how do I answer that?
You can't answer.
Two people just created art. That's it.
But we've normalized
who's gonna be better,
competing or competition in a art form that requires, in order for you to really achieve being your best at it, you being real, right? You being genuine with what it is you're creating. And when you add competition to that, like with anything else, and it's the thing I keep telling people, if you're doing music for the sport and for the competition, know this: any other sport, you have to retire.
That's real.
So as long as you're doing this for competition, just remember, eventually you gonna retire.
You're gonna, or you become the old player in the game. Andre 3000 said a great line about that. He was like, "What am I gonna rap about in a young man's game?" He was like, I was doing it for sport. So if I'm sitting here at the top, I'm only gonna be at the top till we rediscover what the top is.
And so again, it's fleeting, right? I have no qualms with people who do this and they say, I do it so I can be the best. Absolutely. But one thing I've noticed about people who've reached that pinnacle, they realize that, oh, snap, I am doing this to be the best, but to be the best me, not to be the best over y'all, because there's room for everybody, right? There is room for everybody. And, you know, much like anything, quality will always rise to the top. There's no rock you can hide it under. You know, authenticity and genuineness, and it's always gonna win, because it's something that, whether you even understand it or not, if it's in a different language, you can feel it and you can identify with it. So that's the thing I always try to tell people, and that's really where I get it from. Like right now, bro, I've been composing songs on the piano for the past week and a half, completely brand new songs, just at the piano.
After a drop, making music?
But it's weird because I still, everybody I work with on the album, I have a ton of tracks. I had a ton of stuff. And you would think, oh, I'm trying to repackage or do something. But when I tell you the space I'm in right now, I don't know. Y'all might hear a ballad from me next. Honestly,
hey, man,
I've really just been at the piano and just doing stuff. I'm not somebody that, and I'm learning because I understand the place and purpose of different things in this business, on the business side of things. But I'm not a creator that creates with the vantage point or with the understanding or the intention of trying to, okay, now that I did y'all with this one,
I got
the next one. on my mama, I'm gonna really.
It's gonna really get in your head.
I don't know what y'all. I don't know what y'all gonna get on the next project.
And I mean, like that's true art right there, though. I mean, I don't think that we know what an artist is gonna do the second they put the brush to the canvas. You know,
that's fun for me.
That's got to be. I feel like when you fall in love with the creating of the process, it makes the entire thing fun. Bro. And I mean, you even said it, how the dropping and how we were talking about, like, when you drop the record, that doesn't have to be the pinnacle. The pinnacle should be I'm creating, and that's the creating because you are, man.
I had fun making the promo slides, man. I was cracking.
Oh yeah, I heard about those.
Dude, I was just having fun.
The Do Not Disturb promos. Bro, I'm not gonna lie, those were so amazing. Man. And I've been praising so many people for their promotion. I don't know what the pandemic did, but everybody was like, I am great at Instagram now.
Man,
these Instagram advertisements are so good.
They are. They too
like,
good.
The quality makes no sense. Where I'm like, is this an actual television commercial? Yeah. And then we see the pop up with you and the sun, the moon for the Do Not Disturb. I was like, Jesus Christ, the production value.
Dude, I was just having fun. And again, all of this and creating all of this, it came in the same place. One thing I told people, and this has been on my list, every 6 months I reevaluate why I do whatever I'm doing.
A little check-in. Like, and do I still have purpose here?
Dude, man, tomorrow's not promised. So I like to do things with purpose and intentionality. I feel like we're all put here to help each other. And the reason why there's so much bad in the world and people want to say, oh, God, how can you allow it? It's not that God allows it. It's that we allow it.
I mean, I think a lot of things are also based upon the perspective, because if you change your perspective, you move different. Exactly. It's going to change your real life movement.
Can you imagine if everybody was good to everybody? We wouldn't be having this conversation.
It's just a perspective, though. Like, all it takes is that. Yeah. Because all it is relative within the moment. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, that's man, thank you for dropping these gems, my G.
Nah, man, I'm just chilling, man. I'm just having fun. Y'all see, I got my house shoe slides on, man.
Hey, man, we in your studio. You can do that. You can do that, man. Look, before we get out of here, we're about to wrap it up. What track do you want to leave them with? I do an outro for every episode. I've used your tracks before. Is there a track from Spaces? Is there another track? What track do you want to leave them with for the podcast?
I should give you this remix, but I can't give you this remix.
Oh, man. Okay. Another day. Whenever that one comes out, we'll have to do that one on the outro.
It's like, what track is remixed? Maybe all of them?
Hey, leave them guessing.
None of them. No. I would say outro, leave them with Uncomfortable.
You guys are listening to Uncomfortable by Marsalis featuring Gold Hayes. Run the rest of the project right after this. Thank you for joining us, man, and we out.
Yes, sir.
I feel out of place, trying to open up a toothbrush. That you can't tell if I've been thinking too hard, but the wrong things, working way too hard on my off day.